Welcome back to episode 2 of Happy Sack, hosted by me, Shea, and Charlie, two kind of friends to my left.
How we doing?
Today we're going to be talking about some of our highlights, or we're going to highlight some of records and teams of spring sports today. We're going to talk about certain games and players, and maybe make some predictions if we have time at the end of the season. And then we'd also like to highlight, at the high school or just in general, what makes a good coach and some of the coaches at the high school. So, first we can talk about some of the highlights here and records of teams for spring sports. This kid on the left made a nice big old chart you guys can't see, but for baseball, which I would assume a lot of kids in middle school are playing, they were 4-8, but as of yesterday, they got their 5th win against the Tech, which if you listen to the first episode, if you haven't listened, click off this, go listen to episode 1, come back. But 5-8, beat the Tech yesterday. What were they? We said last episode, like 9-1, 10-1.
They were 9-1.
But they're like D12, so they're playing Western Mass teams, so it doesn't even matter.
We have some friends on the team. Shout out to Michael Maselli.
Yep. Moose. Had a couple errors. They weren't really his fault, but we'll blame him on Nev. They're still in the playoff hunt. I don't know exactly what seed they are. I don't know if Arbiter has updated that yet. But as of right now, boys lacrosse, shout out, is 3-9, which we are still in a playoff spot as of yesterday.
That's good.
We have Belmont on Wednesday, which is a tougher game. I never want to say that you hang your head in games, but you guys can speak from experience. You go into certain towns and you're like, today's just a day, you don't want to come in here thinking you're going to lose, but that this team has 3,000 kids at their school and 200 kids tried out.
Yeah, I feel like those are the games where you're just trying to get better.
Yeah, you got to get better with your teammates.
Trying to compete.
You're trying to compete, obviously, yeah, but you're trying to get better because it's, if you're going to a school that has 3,000 kids and you're only at 700, 800 or something like that, you're just trying to get better and try and work on certain things is the main goal.
Yeah, exactly. But as of yesterday, like I said, we're still in the playoffs. We have a couple easy ones. We got senior night on Friday, Watertown. Those kids can't hang with us. We also have Stone. Oh, no, we don't have Stone again. We have the Tech again, which that's the last game of the season, and that's a really big one because when I last checked last night, they were ahead of us in the standings, even though we beat them at the beginning of the season, first game of the season. So, take that with how you will.
That game might, decide if you're in the
playoffs.
Yeah,
that could be. Their record's better than ours, but that's because, we've been playing Lexington, and they've been playing, we already talked about it, Cape Ann teams, what are we talking about here? But, moving on to girls lacrosse, they're 0-12 as of right now. They had a loss last night on senior night to, I think, Arlington. They've had a lot of close games, 1-goal games, which, in lacrosse is a pretty big thing. We have boys tennis. They won yesterday, 6-5. They are 3 seed in recent power rankings. They might have gone up with that win. And they have Wakefield they had Wakefield yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Arlington. And then they have Triton today.
That should be a win.
Yeah. Those are the teams the Tech's playing. Girls tennis, 2-8, 25 seed. But, we're playing, they would still be in the playoffs as of yesterday. I don't know if they won or lost.
They lost.
Okay, so 2-9, but 25 seed, you'd still be in the playoffs. Even if you went down to 32, they'd still be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So a pretty big jump. But, like I said that last episode, you see teams with records like this, and you're like, oh, they're never going to make the playoffs. And then you look at the level of competition that these athletes, these especially girl tennis athletes, are playing. It's kids from huge towns, kids that could be going you could have a whole starting roster of kids that could go to college for girls tennis.
Exactly. And I know for you, Charlie, when you were playing soccer this past fall, you would play these big teams like Arlington, and if you only lost 1-0, didn't that help you in the playoff rankings?
If we lost by less than 3 goals, I think it was, we would actually get points, or we wouldn't lose.
Because how good the teams
That's
are playing.
good because You're
'Cause
playing Arlington. That's a tough one.
what's like our opponent rating? What's like the highest in like the league? I think maybe in like the state, not the state, but like
Your
from
division?
So
D1. Yeah,
you're
yeah.
playing some good
What
schools.
division is soccer?
3.
D3. Yeah. So what was
So
there,
we're
like
playing
50
like,
teams?
Yeah, we're playing like D2, D1 teams for the most part. Besides like Watertown and Stoneham.
You were playing a few D1
Yeah.
teams, weren't you? Like
Which
Arlington.
doesn't sound like a lot, like, oh, D3, D2, but the difference between a D3 and a D2 school and a D3 and a D1 school is astronomical for certain sports. It is the difference between a state champion and somebody that'll have that ring for the rest of their life, and the difference between Wilmington High School. And then you look at the Tech and they're D9, so it's,
It's pretty much
take
just
that.
based off of the size of the school, and it's just like if you have a certain school with 3,000 kids, then that's just a higher chance that they're gonna have more like really good athletes because they just have so many kids.
Yeah.
So
Back to some of these records. Softball, 6-6, 12 seed would be in the playoffs. Boys track, 2-2. We have some friends on those teams.
shout out Braden Gorski.
Shout out Mikey Otis. He loves to dance. We have girls track, 3-1. We highlighted them yesterday for girls cross country. They're really, really good.
They are good.
Yeah, they're probably like our best like sport probably.
Yeah.
I would say girls track cross country.
Yeah.
They have been good since
They're the most
came to the high
consistent.
school.
All
Yeah,
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
They've been good all 4 years, and I know they had a few girls in the seniors that graduated this past year that went to D1 schools. Like I'm thinking like Holy Cross and those types of schools. So the girls track team's always good.
To highlight some of our other teams from previous seasons, such as winter and fall, obviously, the only other two. Boys soccer, as we've noted, 3-12-4, but they were still the 20th seed out of, 32 teams?
Yeah.
So, that's almost the top half of your, one more win could have put you in the top 16, which would have been top 50%. Girls soccer, 6-6-6, about the most consistent you can be.
It's a crazy record.
For the 21st seed. Field hockey, 5-12-1. That's the 30th seed, which they still made the playoffs. All these teams made the playoffs. Boys hockey, 8-9-2, the 19th seed. They did win a playoff game, and then they lost to the eventual champions, I'm pretty sure, Canton.
They were the only
did,
team
yeah.
that like actually won in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah, this year was definitely a little bit of a down year for us. I mean, last year, football, hockey, even though we didn't win a playoff game in hockey, the team was really good.
Basketball
It's
did
just
last year, right?
yeah, basketball did, but
Yeah.
it's just hard when like basketball team. I was obviously on it. We had like 9 seniors. Football had like 6, 7, 8 at least seniors. So
Oh, dude, more than that started.
Yeah, you
like
know
I
what?
could,
Honestly,
I
yeah.
could put 2 whole hands up worth of people.
So when all those guys leave and like there's all those holes that need to be filled, it can be hard because when Pedro left, we like didn't have a quarterback, and then
We got a
we had
quarterback like a week
freshman-
before the season started.
We had a freshman, Colin Aller, that actually got placed. I don't know if he started the first game, but he was named the starter. And then we had Jacob Roque, who hasn't played football since 9th grade, who was obviously
Lawler was going to play
a
quarterback.
super athletic kid. We had Lawler, who was going to play, but then we had a senior returning to football that had to play quarterback. So obviously that's a insanely hard role to just hop it right into. So I think once the freshmen, sophomores get a bit older and they like find their roles on the team, then our teams will be back to how they were.
Yeah, so it's not to be discouraged. Like if you're a freshman or if you're going into your freshman year, which if you're listening to this, you most likely are, or you will be soon. Even as a freshman, you can have a very big role on a varsity team, and even if you aren't on the varsity team, that's where you really get to work on your craft, your game. You're not strung along with the varsity team. You have your own season. JV has their own record, their own games, their own everything. It's just like travel basketball. There's the A team and then there's the B team, and sometimes the B team can even end up being better than the A team. Have a better record.
Exactly.
So and there's freshman teams for some sports. I know a lot of sports don't have that.
Me and Charlie played for the first
Yeah.
basketball team, like we
bigger
said.
market teams that like basketball does, football does.
Yeah, I know. Like
soccer.
basketball has like JVB now. It's not called the freshman team, but a lot of freshmen play on that team, and I mean that's just where you can really get good at your sport. And you come to the high school, and there's always a roster spot for you, probably somewhere, because
Exactly.
the lacking amount of student athletes we have. Even though we are still good at sports, could just always use more.
And I don't know if this is just me, but when I was in 7th and 8th grade, I didn't think that freshmen played for varsity. I thought that you had to be some superhuman athlete to play. But we've had, I know, basketball, we had Connor Sullivan and Ryan Gray on varsity as a freshman. And you don't have to be some insane, future pro athlete to be on the varsity team. And even if you're not, like I personally wasn't, Charlie wasn't either, but playing on these like freshman JV teams, you just get better and get prepared to play on the highest team. So I think that helped a lot for me. And even when I was on varsity as a junior the first year, I didn't really have a good role on the team because we had 9 seniors that were mostly all good, and just practicing with those guys that were just better than me in every aspect just really helped me improve. And so you don't have to be on the varsity team your first year to be good. And if you're not bad at sports, but at all. You just get better and better each year. Exactly.
Back to the last team here, girls hockey with Stoneham. I know we can touch on this a little bit. When a team doesn't have enough kids trying out for a sport, you can combine with another town. It's not the easiest thing, or we don't know all the details of how it goes down, but we do have 2 teams at the high school that are with other towns. Girls hockey combines with Stoneham, so it's Wilmington. I don't know what they call it, but Wilmington and Stoneham girls hockey.
Yeah, something like that.
And then there's swim. And we talked about that a little bit. That's another sport that you don't really play when you're before high school.
Gymnastics,
gymnastics is another one. I don't know.
Bedford.
And then Bedford. Swim is with North Reading. So those are sports that are all like that. But girls hockey, 13-6-1, the 19th seed, just like boys hockey. And they honestly had probably the best regular season. I know they didn't win a playoff game, and boys hockey did, but they easily had the best regular season of any team in Wilmington this year. To our next point, what makes a good coach, and maybe highlight some of the coaches at Wilmington High School. I know, Shea, you played basketball. Charlie, you had Scanlon.
Yeah, we can start with that.
I mean, he was a good coach, obviously, a little older than the new coaches because they're all younger. But for the most part, I think it was a pretty good season. At first, it was a little rocky because a bunch of new guys there was a lot of new seniors from JV last year, but most of the same team. So it was kind of hard to get everyone together, and new guys are playing the positions. Some kids weren't playing as much as last year, so kids were kind of discouraged a little. But I think for the most part, at the end of the season, he kind of got us all together and got us dialed in for the playoffs and the playoff run.
He also got his 700th win?
Yeah, 700th win.
Yeah, 700 wins. That's combined.
Yeah. He also coaches hockey, too. So.
Boys hockey, yep.
Oh, that's
700 wins. I mean,
that's
surreal.
And how did that feel when he got that win and all you guys, got that big group picture holding up the W or whatever?
It was fun because...
How was that for him?
I think it was a little awkward for him. But it was fun for us because I think it may have been our senior night, actually. Or it was our senior night, our first win, something like that. So it was a pretty, fun night because we obviously, the soccer team hasn't won, or before that, they haven't won in, a year or something. So it was pretty fun to get a few wins on the board.
Yeah, that's good.
You played basketball, so what about head coach Jonathan Amico?
Shout out to Coach Amico. Yeah, I mean... For him, obviously, a first-year head coach, it was probably hard to figure things out, but it didn't seem that way because, before every game, he would have a note sheet front and back of the team that we were playing and would have their starting 5 and, parts of each player's game, say, this kid's, a big man that can shoot, or this kid's a short guard who won't shoot at all. He just had us prepared nights before the games that we would play. And I know that that's obviously a sign of a great coach, is someone who shows that they care and they really want to make the players the most prepared that they can be before a certain game. And he would always, I know I personally didn't have like the biggest role on the team, and I know like halfway throughout the season I was like, what's really my role on this team? Is it like a player who's trying to help like the freshman, sophomore guys, or is it someone who actually wants to play a lot? And he broke down my entire role on the team, which helped a lot because I hadn't been sure. But yeah, how was your first year lacrosse coach halfway through the season?
We've definitely had some hiccups, you could say. We started out with my boy, Coach Keefe. Miss him every day, but he sadly he's still alive, but he's just not with us for the rest of the season. I don't want to make it sound like he had something bad happen. He's just not with us for the rest of the season for reasons unknown. Now we have the head football coach, Coach Turner, and we also have an assistant, Coach Forts. Coach Forts is my guy. He'll be the D-line coach again this year. He took last year off. They've been cool. It's been a good time. We haven't, we've been on a little bit of a rough streak here, but we're hoping to get another W tomorrow or Friday for senior night against Waltertown. That's a big one. But really what I think makes a good coach, back to the original point, is a guy that, like we said this earlier, but knows his spots, a guy that can, or a girl, that can, be serious when it's time to be serious, when you're in the huddle, when you're, going hard in practice, and, can be your friend at other times. You can relax around them, joke around, and, make a real connection with, someone that has more experience than you, or someone that has, maybe other kids want to be coaches or something like that, or just give you good advice and be, more of like a friend and like a helping hand than, anything else. And then, like I said, be more serious when it's time to be serious and really, bring kids together. It's all about being in a group, it's all about being a team. Mm-hmm. And, everyone's always like family, it's always about being like a big family with your teammates and, getting together for stuff like that. And I think that's really what makes a good coach. And I think we have a lot of those. We have a lot of young coaches, a lot of like first-year coaches, so like guys that are going to be freshmen next year, or girls that are going to be freshmen next year, or even sophomore. Like you'll get to meet these coaches and you'll get to grow with them like just as much as they're growing as a coach and growing into their role. Like Amico, the head basketball coach, it was his first year last year, and that year before that it was his first year as an assistant. So he's really. You get to grow with him and see how he can change your 4 years here. It's not like you're just here for a year or even 2. You're here for 4 years, and you can really make something out of that. And we have a lot of good experienced coaches on top of that. Like we were talking about the soccer and hockey coach, Coach Scanlon, 700 wins. You got to be here for a lot more than 4 years for 700.
But, and was that with soccer and hockey, you said?
Yeah.
So,
but still, that is just...
He's the varsity hockey coach, too, so he's had a lot of wins, and they've been a pretty solid team.
Yeah, they've been real good. Hockey's always getting momentum.
Yeah, they've had a few championships, recently.
Yeah.
Not, within 5 years, but,
they've had
10 years ago.
Yeah.
I know they've put out the Garden a few times.
Right.
But to wrap up Happy Sacks episode 2 with us 3, next episode we'll be talking to our friend Ryan Watson, who can share some more experiences on a bigger team. I know soccer has 20 kids. Yeah. Basketball only 15, 16. Yeah. So football, you practice a lot with freshmen and JV. So you're really getting experience as a younger guy. That team, you're with 70, 80 kids. You guys share a locker room. You're all there. So he'll be our first guest. Ryan Watson, he also did wrestling this year, which is definitely one of another smaller team, actually probably the smallest out of all the sports all 4 of us have played, or us 3 and Tim.
It was also his first year on the team as a senior, so we'll
see how
that was.
Yeah, no, they'll be better. Yeah, so he'll be our first guest on episode 3, so we'd love to have you guys back, and just from us 3, thank you for listening.
Thanks for watching, guys.